going to talk about Commonology, and I'm just going to share this little photo here with you. You know what? Let's just do it this way. Now, this is the Bosnian Pyramid Complex. I'm hoping you can all see this from my screen. Let's just make sure. Yeah, that should work. That should be there. Okay. So on the right is the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, a paired structure, structurally paired structure, Bosnian Pyramid of Love right next to it. They're joined by a concrete and clay alternating material staircase that goes up the crevice. So that you have these horizontal layers as it goes up the crevice between the pyramids that joins them together. So it's really, really, really strong. But beyond that, the ancients didn't just put pyramids on the earth and then say, let's join these together and put them on the earth. You know, they were smart. So what they did was they built the entire structure as one unit. So the rivers that meet in Visoka, and you can see them right there, meeting, coming toward us, going north. The Fojnica, little Fojnica on the right, and the Bosna, the lot bigger river on the left. They're both built at least through this complex and beyond to some degree. I don't know how far the rivers are built, but in the first talk that we had, Neil, I showed that the rivers are built and the foundation in Bosnia, the Archaeological Park Foundation that Dr. Semir Osmanagic started in November 9th, 2015 in Sarajevo to oversee excavation in the Bosnian Pyramid Complex. They are going to send a team finally, because I've been telling them for 4 years now, since 2015, that the river's built, you know. So they Semir finally got time to send a team to the river, and he's going to do that in late August when the river's low and you can just walk up the river. It's going to be fantastic. And hopefully the foundation will weigh in on this, and I'm hoping they're going to confirm and officially announce that the riverbed is another structure in the Bosnian Pyramid Complex, because there's many different separate structures, but I just see it as one mega structure. So it's tied together, and so that the water can't get under the structures to erode them. It's fantastic. But then you go, how deep does the terraforming go? That's a question. You know, how deep is this complex? So let's move toward, actually, before I do that, let me just introduce another structure, all right? And then we're going to go into detail on this tumulus. It's so fantastic. This tumulus in the Bosnian Pyramid Complex, Vratnica. Semir discovered it. One of his crew started to excavate because it was near where he lived. This guy that worked for the foundation lived near the tumulus. He's only about, I don't know, 500 yards away. And he thought, well, I'll just go and see what's going on up there. And he started digging, and he noticed this huge block. And he kept digging, and Semir brought teams in. They dug, and they found this tumulus. So they excavated hundreds of tons of clay from the should I say hundreds of tons? You know what? I'm not going to say hundreds because it's a lot of clay, but let's just say many, many tons of construction clay. In other words, not natural clay that came in later, but construction clay that was used as a soft earthquake mitigating layer between the hard-baked claystone layers of the blocks that built the tumulus. So in other words, it's soft clay, hard-baked clay, soft clay, hard-baked clay, just like it is with all the other structures in the complex. And the soft clay gives the structures the ability to withstand earthquakes. So they basically just cut a section out of the tumulus, which is this beautiful conical tumulus. We're going to get to some really cool video footage of Semir talking to news people in the early days about this. And then we'll get more in detail about Vratnica. And then we're going to go to Ostjela Hill, and we're going to talk about artificial stones. It's really exciting. It's super, super exciting because we don't have a discipline in science yet that studies artificial stones, because everyone assumes that stone is natural, and then you can, if it gets ground up or if granite decomposes, that's decomposed granite, and then you can sort of mold that back together and make different things, combine different elements, and then you can make something. But see, so this would be a whole new niche for science to look at, not just a niche either, not just a little niche, because stone is not just little stones around that might be artificial. Oh, we created a construction stone for this pyramid, and here's another one, and there's 12, and there. No, what if the whole thing? What if the entire complex in Bosnia, for instance? What if all of Texas? What if all of the Balkans? See, because I was in the Balkans for a long time, and I couldn't find anything that was natural. Wherever I went, way beyond the pyramid complex. So what if it's all terraformed? So I know that sounds crazy. I'm just putting that out there. I mean, your listeners have open minds, and so, you know, I'm just putting it out there. Listen, we're going to see what's going to happen. So I'm going to pop out of this. We're going to go to the first video. And let's see. This is
this layer. We can see those stone blocks, the layer of stone blocks. Then underneath we have the layer of clay. We can see the layer of clay about 70 to 80 centimeters. Under the clay, look at this material, some type of a low quality concrete. Below that, again, we have a clay, and below the clay we have the blocks, the same like over there. There they are, about 45 to 50 centimeters. So really, this is a conical shape. So we have layers of blocks, layers of clay, layers of concrete, layers of blocks, layers of clay, all the way to the top, like the concentric circles. So what happened, most probably happened, somebody was digging down about 20 meters, they built, you know, the foundation, chamber, the ceiling, and on the top of this heavy-duty ceiling, they built an artificial hill. Now, it remains to be seen what was the purpose, why did they do that, but I think that this has to be a part of the pyramid complex, because of the material. Clay then was used as the construction material. Now, if we are to speculate, since we can see the reddish color, it's probably the iron ore. If it is the iron ore, which is nowhere to find 40 kilometers from here, it's possible that they had the technology to get these stone materials from liquid to the solid state. But it has to be proved in the future. Okay, we can move on. This layer, we can
so that was, you know, I just looked at this, watched that video so many times in the past when I was first associated with the project, because that was an early video that somebody made on the tumulus. A lot of the videos that you see in my presentations are ones that I made because I did work as the official videographer for 16 months and then 3 more, so 19 months total for Archaeological Park Foundation, and then I went back for another several months and just made videos on my own. But that somebody made that quite a while ago when Ravne was first discovered, and he was trying to convince the world, hey, we have a tumulus here and not just a hill. And it was really exciting, but I never really listened. I didn't quite hear what he was saying about the stones, you know, and because he keeps emphasizing the creation of the stones and the different ideas he has about how they might have done it. And it's so interesting because I'm coming to this myself, and, you know, it's literally the key to everything that I've learned in the complex just from looking on my own. But he already figured this out many years ago. It's just that he hasn't emphasized that. He's emphasized a whole bunch of other things like the healing properties of Ravne tunnel and all these different things that he's really concentrating on. And I'm sort of concentrating on the Commonology, the study of the artificial stone. So let's go forward. And we're just going to do this next video. And this is Samir again.
Now, we are used to most on regular shapes and always the same size. That's how we build our construction. We go to the factory, we mass produce thousands, millions of blocks. We put them together and we make our buildings. What we have here, every block is of different size. We have similarity in Peru. For example, Cusco in Peru, we have huge walls, like above Cusco, 4 huge walls with 200,000 blocks, 200,000. Every one is of different size. Doesn't make sense too much to us, but it did make sense to the builder. Why? We're not quite sure why. If we are to speculate, again, when you have these different shapes, different sizes, I think it helped with the structural stability. In the case of the earthquakes, instead of the whole structure collapsed, the whole structure would lock. Those blocks would, lock themselves. That's one thing. The other thing, we can see the slope towards the inside. Very similar, like the slope in the case of the moon pyramid. Again, it can be for the structural stability, but also we see the spaces between the blocks. They go all the way inside. It's possible that they serve to collect the water and to be some type of the air ventilation. So right now, it's hard to explain the whole structure. But I think it's very interesting, very unique, and very unusual. And we can see very advanced construction techniques. I was discussing the case of the two-layer blocks. In some cases we can see, maybe here, we can come on. We can see that the top layer is missing here. This layer is missing here. So this is a base. Base is completely flat. So what they were doing, they were gluing the top layer to the base. Why and how? Hard to say. They wanted to have this texture, this wavy pattern on the top. Okay, we can climb upstairs. Now, we are used to most on regular shapes.
So let's do one more quick video. This is just a little close exploration of that inclined baked claystone terrace, right? That they uncovered, one of many that they uncovered, that alternates with the soft earthquake mitigating clay. So this is that terrace that he was basically standing on. And it's a close-up of the stones themselves, these artificial baked clay stones. Let's have a look. White stuff on the top, that's occasional white stuff that's stuck on there. Odd stuff, not pervasive, it's just an imitation. There's a video that is about Osceola Hill and about other structures in the complex called the Game of Blue. let's move onward to, actually, let's do 4 quick little photos of close-ups of the texturing, because this will come into play later when we talk about the Osceola Hill stones. Now, Graham Hancock calls this rippling. He went out to the Bosnian Pyramid Complex. Unfortunately, videography and photography was not allowed when he was there. I was the videographer, so I was really, really, really disappointed that he wouldn't allow me to get him, get photos of him and video of him looking at the pyramids, looking at the other structures, talking about them. It was just so disappointing, I can't even tell you, because he's the man that got me interested. His books got me interested in a deep way in ancient history. Fingerprints of the Gods, brilliant book. Underworld, brilliant book. They're the 2 most important books I've read, and I've read tons and tons of books, so in many different fields. And I respect him really highly. And so I was really disappointed that I couldn't get him on video and in photos. His wife did come. She's a professional photographer. She took photos, but we haven't been able to see those yet. And sadly, he saw this tumulus, and he said, well, that could be natural rippling. They might have carved these stones out and brought them here. But then but that's still a built structure. It's not like it's a natural hill. So, but then for some reason, his trip sort of disappeared. It just fell off the map. So nobody even really knows that he went. He had one small talk in Denver, Colorado, back in 2015. It's for Earth Keepers video channel has it. And so he talks a little bit about Bosnian Pyramid Complex and a little bit about a lot of things. So he didn't have time to go into it all, but he basically said, further research needs to be done. He didn't endorse it as a pyramid complex. So that was a little bit sad for me. So the massive nature of these stones is kind of funny because the tumulus is small compared to the other structures in the complex. This is the northernmost structure in the complex. So we're looking, we're looking about south now, kind of toward the pyramids, but they're far away. They're a couple miles south of there. So you can't really see them in this one. But so the tumulus is small, right? But the blocks are huge compared to, some of them are, compared to other blocks that we find in the pyramid complex. In general, there are exceptions to that. Then you can see the thinner stone layers, claystone layers. But then at the bottom here, you have the really thick layer. So it's interesting, the ancients don't have that Roman perfect rectangular block. They're not even, in the Great Pyramid, you have, different sized blocks, but they're basically either square or rectangular. They don't look like this, but the ancients here, for some reason, whoever they were, they didn't mind too much to have it not perfect. And there's a lot of curving going on in the Bosnian Pyramid Complex. Let's do 4 more quick photos and then we're going to go to another video. Got to get through a lot of stuff. So let's see. I wrote this article in 2017. This is about stones that I found on the pyramid, on the hill across from the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. And I called them Bosnian Rosetta stones because of the markings on them, the obvious built quality to the stones, as opposed to, oh, they just carved them from somewhere, or they're just natural, because those are both arguments that people make. So you can find, if you search those terms, this one stone I saw on my first trip in March 3, 2015 to Osceola Hill, because nobody excavated that hill because it's really, really steep. And there's just, no one thought it was anything but a clay quarry. So I just went up it one day because I'd been there for almost a year. And I thought, well, I'll just walk up Osceola Hill and see if it's a clay quarry, like it said. But it turns out that it was just full of stones. This was one of the stones I saw. And then I went back to find it because I thought, when I saw it on video, I thought, that's got really interesting marks on it. It's got what looks like tool marks, like a spatula mark, like that big one on the left. And then you got things that almost look like fingerprints, And so these look like fingerprints almost. I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying that they look strange. but definitely it's worked. So then you go, well, it was on a hill that no one ever goes up, you know, no one modern, because it's too steep to climb up. You can't get to the top of it, it's too steep. And it's just a pile, it's just a slope of rubble, you know, because it's been so eroded because it is so steep. So the water keeps taking the loose clay layers down, and then that brings the other layers. So I use this for my Commonology sort of article, first photo, to show what is, to me, is obvious, you know. And I brought this stone to the museum, and it was too heavy for the museum, just too big and too heavy to really display. So what they did was they put it outside of Ravne Tunnel. So hopefully you can find that on the left side of Ravne before you go in. So let's see. Okay, we're going to get to the next video. This is Osceola Hill. And the first.
Oh, here's this texturing. And that's just like the stones, those huge claystone, heated clay blocks over on the lower trench in the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. They have this texturing. I'm impressed. I was impressed before, but now I'm really impressed. There's pattern everywhere. It's just a question of noticing or figuring out what the pattern is. So we got this stone that's on its side, kind of 45 degree, but then look at this texturing. Look at that. Very interesting. This huge stone. I mean, it's... Look at this. Look at this thing. It's just clay. Look. It's just clay. Look, it's just clay. So they heated this clay up. And they made it strong. I mean, this is strong. A little tiny bit came off, but I mean, that's 10 inches there, more than that there, 11 inches. Nice long thin stone. Amazing. Then you got this huge block. Oh, and now there's two gullies. Okay. So there's this gully, and here's, you can see this, the idea of the claystone. My friend Helena from the Czech Republic was looking at some stones in the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon, and I said, I think these are artificial, and what do you think they're made of, if that's true? And she said, well, they look like sandstone, and then she said, well, they look like claystone, and then she said, well, I think they're sandstone. So it was back and forth between clay and sand. She was perplexed. She's had some training in this. But the more that I look at these stones, the more it looks like clay. So now we're in the right-hand gully. It's actually a little easier to get up this one because there's not so much brush. And things are sticking to each other, like the rocks are sticking to the clay, so it's a little easier to walk up it. Instead of a talus slope, which is loose rubble, this is talus plus clay. So here's another textured stone. Let me get a nice shot of this thing.
That's the
wow.
stone we talked about earlier.
Super exciting. Yeah, the trickling of the water doesn't take much clay. If it's just soil, of course it'll take it. Wow, look at that stone. You can see the texturing. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. Let's see if we can hone in on that. Look at that. Amazing. And then the water trickling over this guy doesn't look like it's perturbed it at all. That's probably why they heat the clay up to such a high temperature. We know that they heated the concrete up to 900 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's what makes it the hardest, most durable, and most water-resistant concrete ever tested, ancient or modern, on the Pyramid of the Sun. More than 4 times the temperature of boiling water is what they brought the clay up to on the Pyramid of the Sun. Over there. So, and they covered it with concrete that was heated up to that degree. So, how they did that, no one knows. But they really wanted to make strong concrete. They really wanted that pyramid to stay, whoever it was. And so then you got to wonder, they probably really wanted these rocks to stay rocks and not disintegrate. So then you say, well, I wonder what temperature these rocks became. The texturing is never identical to texturing on some other stone. It's just, it has an identical feel, an identical style. See if I can, yeah, look at that texturing. Absolutely crazy. The word for stone in Bosnian is kamen, K-A-M-E-N. And I'd like to start a new discipline called Commonology. Rather regular sides, you know. 90-ish degrees there. It's not necessary to have 90-degree sides to be a construction stone, obviously, but there's some more texturing on this guy. Interesting. So this was just supposed to be a clay hill. All right, now I have something interesting. A really huge rock, and then some more rocks that are large next to it. So let's go find out what those are. Okay, so this is interesting because these look like they're built in, right? I mean, they're in. It doesn't look like they've been perturbed. These look like construction stones to me. And they're angled in. They're always angled in. Look at that. Look at that angle. Really strong. They're angled into the structure, and you'd hear me talking about that almost every video where I have stones in there. I'll talk about the inclined terraces, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon, or the inclined blocks on the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. Not the concrete blocks, but the blocks below at the first level. The level where the blocks I'm talking about are probably about there, and then the concrete starts up further, but there's some blocks that are just like this, kind of near the bottom, at least at the bottom trench that we've started excavating, and they are inclined just like this. So I'm going to get a few photos of this incredible inclination. Make sure my camera is flat so we know generally what the inclination is. Wow. Okay, now we're gonna see if we can get up. Look at this gorgeous texturing. You can see the clay right here. If I can flick this off, but I'm not gonna because it's just this whole thing is too beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, wow, look at those markings. Look at those markings, amazing. I'm gonna get closer on that. I think that's important. I haven't seen that before, but it's got a feeling of the same sort of thing going on. It's just a slightly different look. If you're still with me, you're stalwart. This is science. Anyone can do science, and you have to look with your eyes. And that's what you do, and then you do your best to figure things out. That's all. Just because you have a degree from a prestigious university doesn't mean you're right. Because it just so happens that people with degrees from prestigious universities disagree about things all the time. So the question is, what do you see with your eyes? What's your best theory? And then, then you put that out there to the scientific audience, and which is to say to the global mind, since we're all scientists. And then we see whose theory is the theory that does the best in the opinion of the global mind. So this is pretty interesting. This is actually interesting because to me this looks like a gully in the Pyramid of the Moon. And the gully on the Pyramid of the Moon has this incredible layering. In other words, it looks like this might have been meant to be a gully. And you can see the water coming down, but the other thing is this might just be a place where randomly the water decided to come down, and then it sort of laid bare what exists everywhere, which is this clay layering. Heated clay, obviously. Here's the unheated clay that's just on top of it. But then there's this stuff. Let's see, there's another textured stone. Amazing. Nice and wet for us so we can get more idea of what the texturing is. So there's clay, soft clay, right? And then there's, and that's the soft, like potter's clay or something. It's a little bit harder than that right now. And then there's the harder stone clay, or claystone. Maybe they mix some other ingredients in there besides just heating it up. But then look at this. Then there's a really hard one. A really hard one. So there's 3 different kinds right there. I was just standing on this thing, and we have clear evidence of it being inclined because it's inclined. It's inclined to the structure. I'm sure the pyramids are multifunctional. They're also heaters. They're 5 degrees Celsius hotter than the surrounding hills. So what you have is a way to keep the ice ages from completely destroying everything. That's one good thing about pyramids, is that the more you build, the warmer the climate is going to be. And there is a Mediterranean climate on these pyramids, and you have plants that grow there that are Mediterranean plants, and that's because the heat is escaping faster from these pyramids than from the surrounding hills, because the pyramids are not compressed over millions of years, but have hollow spaces, and we know they have tunnels from satellite scans we've done, and they're just less dense than the surrounding hills, and so they let heat out faster, which means that the plants benefit from that heat. The ones that like the Mediterranean
Right, so that's
climate
Osceola Hill.
can grow
directly
here.
Across the Florida River from the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, which is the main structure in the complex. Now we've got to get out of here by 6 p.m. exactly, 6 p.m. Texas time, 4 p.m. Over there in California, and 1 in the morning in Bosnia. So I hope that the Bosnians are watching, but it is kind of late for them. It was started at midnight. So, all right, so let's get to the next. I'm going to run all these photos and see if we can get through them in 20. Actually, it's 23 minutes. I said 26, I think, but it's 23 minutes. I'm hoping all these are photos, and I'm pretty sure there's no more video because that doesn't work with that. So let's just see how this goes. All right, so there's a guy who's naked. Wow, that was not the right order. Sorry about that. That was like near the end. Let's do fewer. Let's see if my computer can handle fewer. Sorry to throw a naked guy in there, people. There we go. Here's some naked clay instead. But you just got an intimation of what's going to happen near the end of this talk. It's pretty funny, actually. Because once you start to see the Bosnian Pyramid Complex is a Rosetta key it was for me. Any complex that you go to, any ancient site can be a Rosetta stone or a key that lets you in, a window into the past. And the Bosnian Pyramid Complex, because I was there for 23 months, was that window for me, and it allowed me to see eventually, day after day after day in the field, allowed me to see certain things. And then I start to go apply those to other things. And then pretty soon the worldview begins to change, the worldview that we learned in school. So, and of course, it must be tested by the global mind. All the new ideas need to be tested by the global mind. And we hope that that's what the universities are doing. Unfortunately, that's not what they're doing. They're reiterating the old ideas. And there's really very little bantering about of new ideas, testing of new ideas. This is what you wish that universities would be, a dynamic place for students to be where they engage their minds and test things out. Wouldn't that be amazing? Instead, they're just lectured to. And then you parrot back what is said and you get a grade. Yay, I learned something. So this is a baked claystone, just a really close-up view. This was found on Osceola Hill. There's a video called The Artistic Technology of the Ancients that goes into detail about another exploration I made there. I went up there 5 times. I think I made 4 or 5 videos. That's near the top. You can't really, I mean, I actually did get to the top once, but it's almost impossible. I had to be hanging on to tree roots and all sorts of crazy things to get up there. And if you're carrying a camera or any kind of gear, it's virtually impossible to get to the top. So it's not really a tourist destination except from the path at the bottom, which is right next to the Foinitsa River. And the Foinitsa River does become Osceola Hill, just like it becomes the Pyramid of the Sun on the other side and the Pyramid of Love on the other side. So it's one structure. So this hill is tied to the pyramids right across. You know, like, why are they building hills? And then you start to think, you go, well, if they built a hill in Bosnia, how many other hills did they build, right? And in Bosnia, and how many other hills did they build and other features did they build that aren't obvious pyramidal features or obvious tumuli across the world? How many hills are built? You start to think about this kind of thing. So there's our Osceola Hill Rosetta Stone B. That's the angle it's at. It's so big, I couldn't take it down to the museum. It's way too big. It's about 5 times bigger than Rosetta Stone A. So I would have loved to get it down there, but because it has been taken out of its original structural position and it's just rubble now. And so I think it would be okay to take it to the museum. It's just too big. A little bit of close up again on the texturing, which I call deep gouging. Because texturing then lets people think that, oh, you're talking about rippling from water and it's all natural, and that's not what it is. All right, so now am I getting to the right place there? Is this where I want to be? Let's just put these down here. One quick thing, for some reason I think my computer gets a little hot here in Texas. I'm just gonna blame the weather. How's that sound? And then it just can't handle too many slides. Let's see if it works here. It really wants to go to that naked guy. I don't know why it wants to do that. Let's do these 4 instead. Is that correct? Well, anyway, let's just go with it. 3D printed? Is marble natural stone or something else? In other words, did the great sculptors of the past carve their amazing creations out of natural stone, or did they cast it? Let's go on. What is artificial stone? Artificial stone, which is also called casted stone, is constructed from cement, sand, and natural aggregate, such as crushed stone. It is possible to provide certain surface textures to artificial stones. So this is modern times, and people are talking about it like, yeah, you know, if you're building a house and you can't find the right materials that are natural, well, we can make some materials that look natural. And you're like, okay, but that's wild. Once you go to the Bosnian Pyramid Complex and see these stones that everyone thought were natural for hundreds and thousands of years, and they're digging their foundations for their houses, and they're like, oh, here's some natural stones. And they're not natural, so we know that now. I'm just gonna turn the fan on. It might be a little bit noisy, but I gotta cool my computer. It's starting to get crazy. Sometimes specific pigments are used to achieve certain color. The addition of pigments shall not exceed 15% by volume. Artificial stone can be cast into complicated and considerably detailed forms, and various sizes can be manufactured. It can be reinforced to increase strength. And then we're going to do another talk down the road a few weeks from now about the Bosnian Stone Spheres Park, where Dr. Semir Osmanagic discovered the pyramid complex. He found some stones. He analyzed these beautiful megaspheres, huge spheres. I called one of them a megasphere because it was so big. It's the biggest sphere on the planet. And it's clearly artificial because he analyzed the content of it, and he found out that they replaced two of the elements when compared with the natural sandstone that was already there. And then, so one was a hardening agent and one was a binding agent. So they added binder and hardener. So that's clear evidence of construction. So the stones are definitely constructed. If you couldn't tell that from the fact that they're round, then we analyzed them in the lab. When I say we, I mean the foundation that Semir created. So then you're starting to read this and you're like, let's see, it can be reinforced to increase strength. It's like, yeah, it's just like the ancients did. I wonder if anyone cares about that. Guess what? The Orthodoxy buried the megasphere story. A couple of mainline publications, one in the UK, and somebody else published information about the spheres found in Stone Spheres Park, but they wanted to bury it because they're like, it's all natural and he's a huckster and it's all for tourist money, because Bosnia is war-torn and they need tourist money. Finally, it is worth mentioning that artificial stones are casted easily and economically. Really? So it's easy to make artificial stone. And the Industrial Revolution only started a little while ago, less than the blink of an eye in geological terms, the thought of a blink of an eye. That's how long it's been that we've been doing anything besides running around throwing spears at animals, you know? So then you go, how long have the ancients had to figure out how to make artificial stones and to do it beautifully and brilliantly? So let's go to the next one. All right. Artificial stone or cast stone will be used for construction when cost-effective and durable natural stone cannot be achieved. All right, different types of artificial stone. Let's go to the next one. This is going to talk about marble, artificial marble. It is constructed from Portland gypsum cement. I'm thinking gypsum. Well, that's all of Texas. All of Texas is gypsum. What if they didn't just build little stones, but made a terraformed earth out of gypsum, concretized gypsum? Because it seems like what they're doing. And I got lots of videos coming out on my personal channel about that, Texas geology. It's going to be called the Texas Mega Complex because there's lots of different things here. And it's all part of one thing. All right, so let's go to the next series of photos. And let's see how many photos my computer can handle. Let's see if it can handle that many. All right, this naked guy again. So we got David, right? Let's, obviously my computer cannot even handle, I don't know, 15 photos at once. So let's see, these four are in a series. Let's see if that works. Yeah, so there's the naked guy. You know who he is. He was supposed to be carved. This is the man, Michelangelo was supposed to have carved this. Okay? They don't say cast it. Does that look like carved to you? Why are you and I, and whoever's listening, the 5 people, the 10 people, the 100 people, the however many thousand people are listening to this, why are we the ones that have to go, well, that's not carved. It's obviously cast. Is anyone gonna, like, you know, state the obvious? Do we have to be the ones, just random people out there like a playwright in Texas have to be the ones to say the obvious to all of institutional geology and archaeology and, you know, ancient history and all those professors? What are they doing? Don't they ever take their kids on a field trip to the museum where these sculptures are? So let's look at some more photos. Okay, now this is called, it's colloquially, I guess, I don't know if that's the right word, but it's known to many people as the rape of the Sabine women, which is probably, well, it was Sabine in Latin, the rape of the Sabine women. But it wasn't really rape, because I was looking at the etymology today, and raptio is the Latin. I mean, that's the word in Italian that survives. And so that meant abduction, as opposed to rape. Of course, if you're a woman who gets abducted by, you know, the Romans, then it's still not a good scenario. So here's some close-up on the woman's feet. And you think to yourself, okay, there's a guy with a chisel, And if he makes one mistake on that little toe, he's done. Right? He's done. Or he could cast it. I mean, that's pretty spectacular. And you go, well, if he did use a chisel, he's a brilliant guy. And that's how the orthodoxy paints him, you know? So they're like, he's the, you know, one of the top people with a chisel in the past. And you're like, really? Is he a top chiseler? Is that what he is? And the hair. So the hair on this guy, they say it was chiseled. The ear was chiseled. The beard was chiseled. Really? The fingers, her fingers were chiseled. Oops, I made a mistake. It broke off. I guess we'll have to just pack it in. 2 years of work. Sorry, Duke. So that's that series. I was just looking at that today. I posted some of that before on Facebook, but I wanted to look into depth on some of it today. All right, so the Sabine, this is just a little bit of background. This, you can see the Sabine or Sabine people were up there, Rome was down here. So they just went up there and said, you know, we got too many men, we need some women, we're gonna just take your women. And they're like, that's not gonna work for us. They tried to negotiate and then they said, well, we're gonna have a festival, come into your festival. So people came for the festival and then they abducted the women. It's like, oh, thanks a lot. So orthodoxy, Giambologna's greatest marble sculpture, the abduction of the Sabine women, right? Sculpture, greatest marble sculpture, okay. Carved from a single block of stone. This powerful marble sculpture, you know, it's just, you know, okay, carved, okay. Here's that translation of raptio, or the etymology. Composition of the statue. The actual statue is made from a single block of marble. Okay. Whatever you say. Let's see if I can go to the next 3 or 4 that my computer can handle. Here we go. So here's the same sculptor, right? And he said, I'm going to do like this little, it's not a big project. It's just, you know, a centaur and a guy, Theseus is killing this centaur. So shouldn't take me much time. I'll just chip away at it with a chisel for a while and see how it goes. I'm not going to make any mistakes, obviously, because if I did, then all my work is for naught. So again, the hair and the hair on the centaur at the bottom. This guy was pretty amazing at what he did, which was probably cast marble-like stone that was made to look like marble, you know? Pretty amazing. Flemish guy that lived in Italy. So let's see if we can do 8 at once. Yay. How to cast culture. So this is modern. Here's a guy, Scott Nickelbine, and he's telling us how to cast cultured marble. Wait, what? You can make marble? The use of marble powder and casted resin produces castings that look like polished marble. I mean, it's like, okay, thanks. I guess we don't really need I guess the guys in the past probably didn't even need to use a chisel, did they? Things you'll need. It's just like little check boxes. We don't have hair dry. They didn't have hair dryers back then. So I guess they must have chipped them with chisels because they didn't have hair dryers, you know. Other than that, they probably had all that stuff. Coloring for the casting. Now this is super interesting. I know we're short on time, but we're going to zip through this. You want veins in the white marble. Oh, to add the veins, drop a black color, use the fork method and blah, blah, blah. So right now, we know how to put veins in marble, right? I guess they didn't know anything about that back then because they're idiots. Marble solid surface casting. Marble and casting resins deliver the strength, durability, and beauty for cultured marble, which is to say, artificial stone, right? So here's custom cast marble works. We have a business dealing in what the orthodoxy says never happened in the past, artificial stonework, creating artificial stones. Color, amounts of color and veining patterns will vary. Because of the raw materials and the manufacturing process used, it is impossible to duplicate colors. So, you know, they're saying, yeah, we can make some artificial stone, but it's not going to be, we can't duplicate it perfectly from stone to stone. And then you see the difference in the stones in the Bosnian pyramid complex, every one different, not just the shape, but the texturing and the coloring. And you go, huh, okay. A mixture of fiberglass resin and crushed limestone. That's cultured marble. It's that easy? What a concept. Cast stone. Here's Wikipedia, yay. They give you the trivial truth so that then they can lie to you. Sorry, Bankopedia is what I call it. They lie to you when it gets heavy. But the trivial truth, you know, if you want to know what hummingbird is in your yard, go to Wikipedia. So cast stone, blah, blah, blah. And some researchers have speculated that the Egyptian pyramids were formed using a form of cast stone rather than from cut blocks. Yay, Wikipedia, some truth got in. Woohoo! All right, let's go to the next bunch of photos. We have 5 minutes. Let's see if we can do it. Yes, we can. I'm hoping that this is going to work. There's that many. Yes. All right, so we have this guy who didn't want to think that these were, this is the pyramid, this is the bent pyramid in Egypt, okay? Amazing pyramid, and the Orthodoxy says they bent it when they constructed it because they felt that it was, I think it was that they needed to structurally bend it in to make sure it didn't fall. And she, really, is that what they did? Because they're so stupid that they started a pyramid that they didn't know what they were doing. But on the right, you see this interesting, there's a block, and then you're like, wait, what's that? It's not carved, obviously. So then you go, there's the pyramid of, the Great Pyramid, right? Were those drugged there by slaves on wooden rollers from a long way away, brought by boats, or did they just pour them? So, and then you go, how deep, just like with the Bosnian pyramid complex, how deep does this ancient stonework go? Because there's a pyramid, right? And then what if this was built? What if the bedrock on the Giza Plateau was not bedrock? What if it's all built? And you go, soft, soft, hard, hard, earthquake mitigating. You can go to my video, shielding, and talks about the alternating hardening soft layers across the earth. So there's a close-up of that one, obviously cast stone. How deep does their stonework go, the artificial stonework go? All right, so that's the presentation. That's 5:57. If you have any questions, we have 3 minutes. So I'm happy to do my best to answer them. And that's about it. Neil, I hope you liked it. I told you it was going to be a good one, but you never know what people like best. I know you like the scalar waves coming out of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, but do you like Commonology? I don't know. So we're going to wait for Neil to come back. He's probably taking a nap or something. He works too hard. He's probably like, well, I can nap till 5:59, or that's Central Time here in the US. He's probably thinking I can nap till 3:59, and then I can wake up and round this off. So if there's any questions, let's see. I'm going to go to Zoom and see if I can find any texting that I can do. There's something there. Chat. It's going to be a lot of fun. That was me. Can't hear your words. I'm afraid music playing over. That was fascinating. Okay, good. At least you did hear it. That's the important thing. I love Commonology. Yes. And of course, this in Bosnia, it's Kamen, because the E is like an A to us, so it's Kamen, but it'll just end up being Commonology, which is funny because common, C-O-M-M-O-N, it's a homonym. Commonology, it's kind of like, because the earth is terraformed, it's the most common thing you can find on the earth is terraforming. It's just, it's just a question of how deep it goes, and maybe it keeps going, Commonology, the study of the common, which is the study of the surface of the earth that's everywhere, artificial construction. So that's it. That's all I got for you. I didn't mean to be mean to the orthodoxy. It's just that I don't know what they're doing in the universities except memorizing names of minerals. Okay, I was mean again. That's terrible. But let's all have a sense of humor about the progress of science, because Malo po malo, as they say in Bosnia, little by little, we will get to the truth using the discernment and the perspicacity of the global mind. And Neil, you can jump in anytime. I'm just rambling. So just jump in and end it. Like a circus master, like a ringmaster. You can do it. And after that, oh, have you looked at Enchanted Rock? Yes. Yes, I have looked at Enchanted Rock. Just look at my video Enchanted Rock on the Jock Doubleday YouTube channel. So let's see, what else? I know Neil is coming back, 5:59 or 3:59 his time. 1 minute to go. If there's any questions, just type them in and I'll type really quick. Are you heading back to Bosnia anytime soon? Probably in 2020, we're going to do something called bathing suit archaeology. We're going to get something going. Neil,
Yes,
you
I'm here.
you need to go. So let's should we wrap it up?
Yeah, bro. Just you want to tell everybody really quick what to expect next week?
Let's see. Next week, well, if I can find what is next week's presentation. Oh, inclined. The inclined nature of the baked claystone terraces all around, all through the structures in the pyramid complex in Bosnia, and not only are they inclined into the structure for structural strength, right? But they spiral up the structure. Pretty amazing. So that's going to be a great one because we're going to compare different structures and see how they always incline their claystone layers.